but generally 65 plus, yeah.
It's early, isn't it?
It is early.
Well, particularly when we live so long now.
I know. And also for the family and loved ones that have to manage the person with the dementia. Like when I treat people clinically and run dementia programs, I have to work because of the very nature of dementia. And as a clinical nutritionist, I always need to work with a carer or a spouse or an offspring to help manage that person's condition.
And it's such a terrible, terrible thing because you are literally seeing the person you love.
Yes. Yeah.
Not die instantly, but just taken away gradually.
Well, it's a 7 to 10 year deterioration, and basically dementia is a slow progression of cell death.
Okay, well, let's talk about eat to beat dementia. That's what the topic is. So from a dietary perspective, what can we do?
Okay, let me start. I've got a lot of great information. So the basic recommendations are you want your omega-3 up and you want your omega-6 down. So your omega-3 foods are things like sardines, spinach, tofu, chia seeds, flax seeds. But your a high level of omega-3 decreases the risk of dementia, whereas a high level of omega-6 actually will increase your risk of dementia, and that's things like cakes, biscuits, things with vegetable oils, red meat, dairy products. Mm-hmm. So going into basic recommendations as well is you want to drag the inflammation down. So doing that with turmeric. Another one is peripheral circulation to be improved. So that's things like garlic, ginger, cinnamon and chili, as well a gorgeous antioxidant-rich diet. So with that, you want a lot of your fruit and vegetables, of course. But that's looking at a basic outline and then going into, and of course vitamins, the antioxidants being things like vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin E.
Right. So I mean, do you think everyone should consider this sort of diet or only those deemed at risk?
I'm 45 and I already have myself on, I put flax seeds through my food as much as possible. I'm increasing my omega-3s and bringing down my omega-6s as much as possible.
Are more people at risk, or some people more at risk, I should say, based on genetics and so forth?
Yeah, family history is a big indicator. One of the risk factors definitely is a family history of it.
Now, do we know of foods, you've talked about the good things we can eat.
Yeah.
Do we know if there's bad things that we can eat in terms of dementia?
Absolutely. So look, anything with omega-6 you want to bring down, but of course it's the Western diet, it's red meat and red meat, dairy products, of course refined foods. But going into the best diet for dementia is the Mediterranean diet. It's actually been seen to bring down dementia by a third. So anyone out there who might have any of those early onset symptoms of confusion, short-term memory loss, behavioural changes, or depression, they could start, and they're a little bit aware of that. They could actually start looking at implying the Mediterranean diet into their program.
The Mediterranean diet. So,
yes.
So just to elaborate a little more on that.
Okay, so the Mediterranean diet is a fantastic diet, and it's to the basic outline is it's every day you have a cup of leafy greens. So leafy greens, then you have a cup of vegetables as well. Beans you would be having probably 3 times a week to replace other proteins like red meat. Mm-hmm. Fish 3 times a week. Nuts, all the gorgeous omega-3 rich nuts like macadamia nuts, cashews, Brazil nuts as well. Of course, whole grains are important. Fish 3 times a week. And the only fat that I recommend and that is recommended for people who want to beat dementia with good nutrition is olive oil. So olive oil through salads, olive oil through to cook with as much as possible. That's the only fat.
It's funny how certain diets from around the world, you can analyse the health benefits to that particular ethnicity, I suppose. The Mediterranean diet, we know how good the Japanese longevity is with their fish.
Yes, definitely.
So forth. You know?
There's another diet that they've got, which is the MIND diet, which is a Mediterranean intervention of neurodegenerative delay, which is more indicated towards dementia because they include more brain-boosting foods like berries. Oh, and sorry, with the Mediterranean diet, I forgot to mention berries. Berries, a punnet of berries every 2 days, brain-boosting foods.
Strawberries, raspberries?
Any berries, preferably blueberries. But yeah, everything about treating dementia with nutrition is all about slowing down the progress of it, and of course trying to prevent it.
Well, sadly, we know there's no cure. So
there isn't a cure.
Once it happens, that's what it's really about, isn't it? Slowing the progress.
It's definitely about slowing the progress. Yes.
What about lifestyle? I mean, we've talked about the things we eat, and I guess we are what we eat, but are there other lifestyle elements involved?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, the big one is daily exercise. A carer or whoever it is has to help with exercise. A detox, because the very nature of dementia is... can be toxicity. A detox is great. Of course, a carer would have to manage that. An ideal weight is really important. So when I have people come in that want to be treated for dementia, in my clinic, I actually use the ketogenic diet to bring down their fat. Fat is actually connected to inflammation. Inflammation, of course, is another driver for dementia. So getting an ideal weight is really important. A dog is fantastic. Definitely a pet. Yeah. Very important. As well as reducing stress. Yeah.
So you don't want stress. It must be a bit of a balancing act, this. You don't want stress, but yet it's, as they say, use it or lose it. So you want to still try and use your brain, I suppose.
Yeah, well, as much as possible. I mean, you can do lots of you can do as many activities you can, or crosswords and things like that to stimulate your brain.
I mean, that's good for all of us, though.
That is good for all of us. I think people should, always be reading, always be interested in something, study something, read, definitely exercise your brain, yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned those diets. What about supplements, though? Herbal supplements or whatever?
No, nutritional supplements. I actually have I do definitely put my patients on some supplements. So I put them on magnesium. Magnesium brings down the cortisol, increases the GABA, and it helps with sleep and neurotransmitters. Of course, insomnia is one of the symptoms of dementia. Fish oil to protect against inflammation. Another thing is, it's interesting, dementia is linked to vitamin B deficiency. So I just do an activated B complex. Vitamin E is, there was a study done in America and actually showed that vitamin E slowed the progression of dementia and protects older adults from actually developing dementia. Vitamin D improves inflammation markers, energy, and protects against neurological function. And as well, homocysteine levels go up with people with dementia. So elevated homocysteine is linked to a deficiency in B12 and folic acid. So, right. And also a lot of, and I test this within my clinic, people have zinc deficiency. So that's a big common one. So B12 and zinc and folic acid, I address that individually, but they're sort of ones that I'll very much consider.
Just talking about your clinic, how do you run the dementia treatment program?
So what I do is I always get, basically I get the people to come in with their carer, spouse or an offspring. Mm-hmm. I overhaul their current diet, look at what they're doing, what they're eating, who purchases the food, how it's done. Then I will implement my diet ideas and what they can do, what their budget is, how they shop. So I workshop with them and of course with the carer on how they can execute, including as many of these foods indicated, as well as who can. It's about the carer and who can manage the program.
Well, that's important, isn't it?
It's definitely there because the very nature of dementia is memory impairment. Yeah. So compliance is poor, sadly, with that condition.
So yes. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort, but yeah, so I do that and I work at their lifestyle and overhaul it and implement those foods into their diet as best as we can.
And as I said earlier, good news and bad news. The good news is we're living longer. The bad news is that dementia is something we have to more considerably, I guess, consider. And
just start implementing. I mean, look at the Mediterranean diet. And the other thing I wanted to mention is they talk a lot about dairy, low-fat products. That's indicated in a recommendation when you're trying to beat dementia is to remove dairy from your diet. And in my clinic, I don't really promote low-fat products. So what I do is when it comes to dairy, instead of removing, I don't, because I don't use low-fat products, I'll go into more finding calcium in other foods, putting that into the program, as well as using, the calcium-rich foods as well, yeah.
Okay, great. How do people get hold of you, Sarah?
SDLmethod.com.
There we go. Good on you. Thank you.
Thank you.